Hello, my name is Julie, and today I'm going to be finding out my TBR for one of my favorite readathons, Becca's Spookoplathon, Spooky Edition. So if you're unfamiliar, Becca in the Books is a booktuber who I have followed for many years. She's one of the people who popularized the monthly TBR game with her Monopoly-inspired TBR game called Spookopoly, and she has run a couple of different readathons that are inspired by Spookopoly, including this month-long one that she has done annually for a couple of years now, and it sounds like that this could be the last one that is in this format, so I absolutely had to participate. If you would like to learn more about the readathon in great detail, I will link the video announcement down below so you can participate as well because it's one of my favorites. She has made this board for us. We are going to start on go. Using two six-sided die, we are going to move around the board like it is Monopoly, and every single space gives a different reading prompt. The full descriptions of every single one of these spaces is in her video. I'm just going to explain the ones that I land on. There are also chance card spaces and community shelf spaces. The community shelf cards have different prompts on them if I land on it, and the chance cards have different specific books to read on them. But everything else, each of these spaces has a specific prompt, and I have to fulfill that prompt. The last important thing to know is that if I get doubles, so if I get the same number on both die, I have to add a book. So I'm going to start out with 6 rolls, and hopefully we don't get any more than that. But I have 3 or 4 books that I need to read in October, and hopefully we can get on this TBR. But without further ado, let's get rolling. Alrighty, it's time to get started with my rolls. Basically, the only thing that you need to know is that these cards are for community shelf spaces, and these cards are for chance spaces, and I will explain all of the spots that I end up landing on. I have my own Lego minifig here as my person, and I have my 2 D6. This one's just green and sparkly, but this one has a dinosaur in it. It's my favorite. Roll number 1. That's a 7. Oh my goodness, that's a chance space already. So in the chance cards, I have 3 books that I want to read this month and 2 books that I wasn't planning on reading this month. So let's do this one. The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave. And our first roll was a chance card with the book The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave. This was sent to me early by the publisher, so thank you to Mary Sue Ritchie Books for sending this to me. This is actually being published on October 1st, so I'm probably going to try starting this a little bit early and finishing it on its release date. But this is about a woman whose father had this hotel empire, and he was a little bit distant from his family. He ends up dying, and her estranged brother are going to try to figure out what happened to their dad that night and who their father really was. It says it's filled with soulful suspense, so it's got a little bit of a mystery element, it's gonna have a little bit of emotional element. I haven't read The Last Thing He Told Me yet, but I do own it, so I need to get to this one to see if I still want to read that one. Roll number 2. An 8. Bonfire. Roll number 2 was Bonfire, and I was really hoping I was going to get this one. The prompt for Bonfire is as if you are going to be throwing a book into a bonfire, you are going to be reading a book that you think you might unhaul, or you have a feeling you might not like it. And I'm going to be reading The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This was an extremely popular romance book before I was really interested in adult romance, and I think this is just kind of like a staple of the book community romance picks, and I thought I would give it a shot. This is about 2 coworkers. They are executive assistants of co-CEOs, and their desks face each other, so they have to spend so much time directly in contact with each other, but they hate each other. He's type A and uptight, she is type B and sunny, and do they really hate each other? I'm not sure that enemies to lovers is really working for me right now, but I think it's time that I give this book a shot despite my worries. Roll number 3. That is another 7. We are getting very average rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my god, another chance space. All right. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Prom number 3 was another chance card. I did not think I would be using more than one of these cards. I was really surprised. And I ended up picking The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So I read The Paris Apartment earlier this year. Nobody liked that book, but I thought it was fun. I gave that a 4, so I thought I should probably read her most popular book now. This is about an elite wedding that is on this Irish island, and all of these very rich elite people are making up the wedding party, and somebody's gonna turn up dead. This was the most popular mystery thriller of the year it came out, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So I thought I'd try it out since I liked another book from her this year. That's another 8. Did I touch that die? It's fine. Oh no, it's dice roll roulette. So how this space works is that I have to roll the dice, and the dice will determine how long the book that I'm reading will need to be. I think I've landed on this space like a couple times before, but the higher the dice roll, the bigger the book has to be. I would prefer a middling roll. I don't want a really, really low one because it's hard to find books that are actually that short, especially that I own. Middle roll. That's a 9, so we'll figure out how many pages that is. Roll number 4. How did I know I was gonna land on dice roll roulette? I didn't want to get this one, and I knew I would. 9 on the die means I need to read a book between 425 pages and 474. It's pretty specific, but I had a couple options. But the book I decided to go with was a book that I have probably been putting off the longest in my entire life, and that's on this shelf. Do you have any guesses? If you've been here a while, you've been seeing this book for years. That is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. So my copy is longer than that page range, but all this stuff in the back is additional stuff, so the book actually ends at like 450. This is a modern classic that is about World War II fighter pilots, talking about the absurd constraints that were put on them to sort of feed the war machine. And specifically, our main character is wanting to get out of the war by claiming insanity so that he doesn't have to go on these dangerous missions anymore. But by claiming that he is too insane, the people say that that makes him sane enough that he should be able to go, and that is the Catch-22. I have owned this since I was in high school when I was just picking up a bunch of modern classics that I wanted to read in my lifetime, and I just haven't gotten around to this. This is such a lauded novel and kind of feels like it's satire about World War II. I really love Kurt Vonnegut, so hopefully this is kind of somewhat similar, even though it's much, much longer. Will I regret picking this? Maybe. So that was my 4th roll. We have no doubles yet. Number 5 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm getting all the special spaces and none of the actual properties. That is a seance. Roll number 5 was the seance spot. So for this, I had to do a random letter generator to pick what the next book I was going to read was, and I pulled up this random letter generator. I actually missed that it like just pops up a letter when you click on it, so I got the letter I. So I don't have that many choices to pick from, but I am going to be reading I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is Jeanette McCurdy's memoir. She was a child star on Nickelodeon, specifically on iCarly and Sam and Cat. I was the biggest fan of iCarly when I was growing up. It was my favorite show for many years, and I loved her on it. And this is her memoir about her toxic relationship with her mother, who, you know, pushed an eating disorder on her and a lot of other traumatic things. It is just like one of the most lauded memoirs of the last couple years, and I was sent a finished copy by the publisher. So thank you to Simon Schuster, thanks. But I have been putting this off because I have been debating whether I wanted to read it physically or on the audiobook because people have said so many good things about the audiobook. I think this is a pretty of this moment book to be reading, just like a lot of discussions about trauma passed down from parent to child. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one and being upset by it. And roll number 6, possibly our last roll, I kind of want to keep going, is 8 again. No! Actually, that's okay. That's okay, right? That is a small book. So a book under 300 pages. And my last roll was a small book. So I had to read a book that is under 300 pages. And for that, I have decided to read one of the books that is on my must-read books of 2024. I only have 2 books left out of 20, and one of them has not been published yet. So I only have one book that I have access to, and that is right here. That is Death Valley by Melissa Broader. This was a 2023 release. It is about a woman whose father has passed away and she is going into the desert to deal with it. I'm assuming that this is going to be weird, if not speculative. I read Milk Fed, was that last year or 2 years ago? And it was one of my favorite books of the year. It was really impactful for me. She writes books about strange, complicated women in weird situations that aren't necessarily realistic. They're kind of satirical, elevated versions of difficult situations that women go through. I have been looking forward to this so much. So my copy is not even 250 pages, so I could definitely knock this out in a couple of days and hopefully be very emotionally invested. That was our last roll because I didn't roll any doubles. I think this might be the first year I rolled 0 doubles, so I have a lot of free space in my TBR, and somehow I did get all the books that I needed to read this month out of the way, so that is fantastic. So thank you so much for watching. If you're participating in Becca's Spookoplathon, I would love to watch you roll the dice and everything, or let me know what you're going to be reading. If you've read any of these books, which one should I be looking forward to? And if you would like to subscribe, you will be able to see me read some of these books in an upcoming vlog in October, including this book. If you would like to find me anywhere else on the internet, you can find me at that link in the description, and as always, I will see you in the next one.